Hi NEM Community, my name's Nick, and today I'm joined here by Albert from StakeHound, and we're going to be talking about StakeZem, how exactly StakeZem works, and the benefit it's going to have to the XCM community. So Albert, you're a crypto veteran. You helped set up the NEM Foundation, and you're the founder of StakeHound. So I think you're probably the best person to give us an introduction to what exactly StakeZem is, and also, more importantly, yourself.
Well, thank you, Nick, for having me here today. It's great to be here. So essentially, like a bit of background about myself, I joined crypto in 2013, just like investing in Bitcoin and so on. At that point, I had a small consulting company in Barcelona, which around like 2015, I started to kind of refocus it into blockchain, right? So I started looking into Ethereum, how to kind of sell that technology. I very quickly realized how hard it was to sell, Solidity as a development platform, right? So I started researching around in crypto, and I saw this protocol, very, very small at that point, which was called NEM, which was essentially just, you have an API and you can control like the blockchain through this API. So essentially, all these different applications that were being built, like, games and like different service from different kind of companies in the industry could just be using through an API, which is something that's very well known to everybody, right? So I joined NEM, started working on building some of those things there, like like an alias system, like a land registry system, and eventually like this all unraveled when got us to kind of create the NEM Foundation, which got very big, like very quickly at the same time. And eventually I just realized that, there was something I was very curious and passionate about, which was scalability, right? So I joined Radix as the Chief Product Officer. And then I spent kind of 2 years kind of focused on pre-DeFi, right? Like what is a DEX? What is a stablecoin? How should they be operating? How would you kind of define those? And eventually, found that DeFi is actually something that is picking up. We start to see how that's actually growing more and more and more every time, and just like started thinking like, what actually makes someone be building on a platform, right, on a layer one, right? And it's essentially how much wealth there is, right? So the more assets and the more wealth you have in a single platform, the easier or the more interesting it is for developers to come to the platform and start building applications, because all this wealth is essentially the customer base for the the developers that are coming to build, right? So we eventually went to the point where we understood that, there's this thing called staking. Proof of stake is essential for these new networks, and NEM was one of the first ones to integrate proof of stake with the proof of importance mechanism. And this is a very, very important and very effective and efficient mechanism to secure networks. At the same time, if there is DeFi coming up and there's so much interest on it, right? So it's like growing and growing and growing. Essentially, there's a competition between those two, right? You can look into numbers for this. You can see that essentially over the last 3 months, basically 3 months ago, the total value locked in staking was $25 billion. And now it's about $13 billion, right? If you look into the other side, you look into DeFi, you're going to see that 3 months ago was about like $3 billion. Now it's about $13 billion as well. So a lot of money is moved from staking into DeFi. So what we thought is, okay, so what if we could create a bridge between those two? What if we can create some way so that users don't have to be choosing either one or the other? Because, I mean, staking is good. You have these communities, these different societies that are being built, such as the NEM community, which is growing faster and faster every single day, right? And it's a shame that they can't participate in DeFi, right? So why don't we build a bridge that allows them to be participating in DeFi, right? So that they don't have to choose just because where the yield is.
Yeah, no, it is actually a really great innovation, and that's half the reason why we were so excited to partner with you. Like initially when the NEM blockchain was first designed, I think they might have underestimated where the price was headed, and now we're in an environment where it is quite expensive to set up a supernode. So I mean, one of the main reasons that I was really excited about your platform is you're more or less democratizing staking for the whole NEM community. and adding this great utility of allowing, you know, the NEM community people who base their portfolio in the XCM token to be able to enter into DeFi and get these exposures in what is a really fast growing market. So yeah, I mean, it is a great innovation you have there, Albert. Obviously, you know, being in the space for so long, you found a nice niche to build a new project. So I guess on that, could you give us a bit of a background into what is a staked token on your platform? You know, stake them, how exactly it works, and what we can do with Stake Zen.
Okay, so as you know, like you've got the different blockchains, right? Normally have a very hard time to stick with each other, right? For example, Symbol is going to have some improvements that will allow it to be able to, you know, like the Symbol to network to be able to, for example, trade against something like Ethereum, for example, right? All these capabilities will be there, but at the same time, these bridges are not really prepared in a decentralized fashion, right? What we're doing essentially is we're creating representations of a staked ZEM, right? So what we do is essentially, you say, for example, that you have 10,000 ZEM. What you can do from now on is you can send it to StakeHound. The StakeHound in return is going to give you an ERC20 token that we call the staked ZEM. And StakeHound is going to custody those funds, set them into an institutional grade custody provider called Copper, and then delegate those funds, the staking of those funds, into a staking provider that's called Allnodes, right? So essentially what we do is now you have StakeHound, you can think about it like as the door of like an exchange. It's like, you know, funds come in, right? And then on the other side, what you receive, instead of having, you know, the matching engine of the exchange, what you have is the whole DeFi ecosystem, right? So works kind of similarly. What you have is that from then on, anyone that is on DeFi will be able to participate, like to be able to buy a stake Zen directly on kind of a decentralized exchange, for example, right? Now, while this is eventually like, well, this is essentially bringing NEM into DeFi, we still wanted to make sure that the staking of the ZEM would still be, you know, affecting the people that hold the stake ZEM. And so what we do is every single day, when there is the reward from running the nodes and like managing the network, the staking of the network, right? Every single time that there's a reward, what we do is we distribute that reward to whoever is that's holding the staked ZEM at that point. So for example, you send in 10,000 ZEM, you get back 10,000 stake ZEM, and now you can go into Uniswap, for example, and sell 500 of them, right? Now someone else has 500 stake ZEM. What's going to happen is that in a few days, he's going to look into his wallet and he'll see that he doesn't have 500 stake ZEM. He now has 505 because there has been a 1% reward during this period of time to everyone that held stake ZEM, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, that like I mentioned before, that's sort of, in my mind, one of the great draw cards to your platform as opposed to other sort of DeFi sort of wrapping platforms, because you can get those stake rewards. So, you know, it sounds very exciting. Me personally, I am a trading market type of guy. I'm not a technical person. So if I wanted to set up something like this and you know, start staking my ZEM and using them in DeFi, is it a complicated process?
So essentially, we've got that there is a like the stake ZEM is an ERC20 token, right? So this is a token in Ethereum right now. In order to be able to use this, so we're gonna have to have an Ethereum wallet, right? There's a very common, like commonly used one, which is called MetaMask, and it's just like a Chrome extension. So I see that you already got it set up, so that's even better. So like what I would suggest is let's set up a new wallet and let's kind of start from there.
Sure. So I've got MetaMask here. I am going to create a new account. So we'll call this StakeHound because I already have a StakeHound one there. So we'll call it SH. create, and we have a new wallet. So if anyone doesn't have MetaMask and they're watching this, it's actually quite easy to set up. If you just Google MetaMask, you just essentially download a plugin to your browser, and it's fairly straightforward to set up a wallet from there. As you can see, I just set up a new wallet for this demonstration. So we've got a StakeHound wallet there. What do we do next?
So we're going to go through this test, right? Like actually, like anyone can do this test themselves. So I would highly encourage anyone to do that. This test is running on the Ethereum testnet called Ropsten, right? So first thing we need to do is we need to connect to this network. You can do that by clicking on the top button, like the main Ethereum network. You can change that to Ropsten.
Ropsten, right?
Great.
And this is a test network. Maybe Albert, could you just give us a brief overview of a test network? For anyone who's watching this who might not be familiar.
For sure. So essentially, you've got like on Ethereum, like in order for people to be able to test kind of different deployments, different applications, right? There's different test networks. Each one of them have like different properties, so they're better for one thing or for the other. Like, maybe the block time is faster or slower. Maybe some of them don't have fees. Maybe some yes. Ropsten is pretty straightforward. It looks like pretty much the same as Ethereum, right? Just like a bit faster confirmations. You do need to get some Ether. So what I suggest is we need to have to go to the faucet, right? To the testnet Ropsten faucet. So I see that you got the link there. Exactly. So this is faucet.dimensions.network, right? So you just like, if you can paste your address here, which you can just do by clicking on the address on the top of, exactly. You see SH, you just click there, and then you can just paste it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you'll see that pretty quickly. Well, now you have, they need to make sure that you're not a robot.
Let's see. I'm hoping. Okay. The queue is too long. We'll try again later.
Okay. All right. That's a technical inconvenience.
As we can see on the Ropsten testnet here, it's actually congested, and that's why we're not getting our Ropsten ETH. On the NEM blockchain, I don't think we would really run into this issue. Oh, there we go. We got our 5 ETH. Lovely. Yes. Okay, so I've got 5 testnet ETH, and I'm ready to get involved with StakeHound. So what do I do next?
The next step would be to try to buy some StakeXM, right? So on Ethereum, there's this decentralized exchange, which is a bit special, right? It's not like the typical order book exchange like Binance or Poloniex or Bittrex, right? What's happening in here is that you have a pool of tokens, and anyone can go and buy or sell tokens to this pool of tokens, right? That's called an automated market maker, right? So the most common one, the one with most volume, which by the way, just like a couple months ago, surpassed Coinbase in terms of daily trading volume, right? It's called Uniswap. So what I would suggest that you do is please go to Uniswap, and then we're going to try to buy some StakeXM.
Okay, so we're going to launch the app. All right. So Albert, we're here at Uniswap. I've already connected a wallet to Uniswap, but perhaps maybe just for our viewers, we should run through connecting a MetaMask wallet to Uniswap. So what's the best way to go about this?
So what you see here is essentially like this address, like the 0xA5 is kind of the account that we used in our previous demonstration where we were discussing about this, right? The first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that this website is actually connected to the address, to the account, that you want on MetaMask, right? So to do this, what you have to do is you have to go to MetaMask. Sometimes there's a pop-up. Okay, there's no pop-up right now, but if you see those 3 dots at the bottom, at the right side, the right side, you can just go to connected sites, and then you can connect it manually, right? So now.
So we're not connected. We want to connect.
Yes, exactly. That's correct. Okay, got it. So you see, now it's already detecting. You see, it says that there's a balance of 5 Ether, right? Which is what you have in this account. And now the next thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we tell Uniswap which is the contract that we want to buy, right? So what's happening on Ethereum is that every single token lives in a different contract, right? It's a different address, essentially, right? On NEM, it's a bit different. Like you have one single API and all the tokens are behind those APIs and kind of they are really standardized, right? On Ethereum, they're called standards as well, but they actually live on different addresses. So first thing you need to do is you always have to make sure that you're kind of touching the right contract, the right token, right? So for example, if you went into the StakeHound's Telegram group and you ask around, or you go to the website, for example, you're going to be able to see the address. In this case, I'll send you the address on on Zoom directly, right? So if you have it already copied, what I would say is just go to select a token, and if you paste it there, you're going to see how it's going to be popping up here. You see, in this case, you've already added it, so that's already like in the cache of your browser, no problem. You see, and now what you can do from here is just like directly, you can just buy it, right? So you can put 5 ETH, for example, on the top form. Yes. And you see 5 ETH in this case is 1,123 staked Zen.
Okay.
Right. What I would suggest is just don't send the full 5 ETH, just like send 4, because you will want to have some more ETH in case you have to, pay for fees and stuff. So that's always handy.
And so on fees, we can see there's a price here. Is this what we're paying? Is this what our fees are?
Automated market makers are a little bit different from what you were used to when you're using Poloniex or Binance or something like this, right? Those are order book exchange, right? So on order book exchange, you have bids and asks, and eventually they meet, or you can take and someone can make. All those things here don't apply, essentially, right? What's happening here is that the price is defined by a constant function, which is just essentially the division between how many assets there is on one side and how many assets there is on the other side. If there's 50 assets of A and 50 assets of B, the price is 1, right? If it's 50 and 25, the price would be 2, right? So it's just this number. The price is derived on how many. And there is this curve that it follows and stuff. Like reality is, because of arbitrage, it actually follows the price very closely, right? So normally you will always see that the price on Uniswap is not that far away from what you would see like on the centralized exchanges. The difference here is that you actually have people providing liquidity. You have people that have deposited, in this case, StakeZem and ETH in this pool, so that anyone can come in and can buy either one or the other, right? Exchanging it, right? And kind of moving the balances of each one of those two assets, A and B, right? So that the price actually changes with it.
Okay. And is there any way we can actually view the order books on Uniswap, or?
Well, that's the thing. There aren't order books, right? What you can see is how many assets there are in the pool, and you can see how it would be effective. Now, in this case, for example, we're in Ropsten, right? But for example, if you go to the view pair analytics, it's not going to work because, please go there. But essentially, this doesn't connect to the testnet, so you will not see the information there. What I would suggest is that you can just go to overview, for example, on the left bar. Yes. And you can open here any kind of token. Just click, for example, USDC. Yes. And here you're going to see when we click, see, this is the token USDC, right? For the token USDC, there's a lot of different pairs. You see, USDC ETH, ESD USDC. If you click on one of those pairs, click on any of this, then here you're going to be able to see how in this specific pool, how many USDC tokens there are, right? $321 million USDC, right? And how many ETH there are, which there's almost 800,000 ETH, right? So there's no order book. It's just those two assets on this pool, and anyone can come in and buy, or anyone can come in and sell either one of those tokens. Okay. Every time that there's a trade, there's a fee, and this fee is obtained by the people that are providing liquidity. So essentially, you're allowing anyone to provide liquidity, help their token, and get fees in the meantime.
Okay. And so that's what this liquidity provider fee is down the bottom here.
Exactly. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And obviously when the StakeZem goes live, we would be able to see the analytics over here.
Exactly. That's actually something that I think it's important to highlight, right? Like the moment that this is live, what's going to happen is that anyone will be able to provide liquidity. And providing liquidity is not just actually helpful for the project, which it is, because then it allows anyone to know that there will be a market and there will always be someone that will be able to buy or sell to you which is the constant function market maker, right? It's an automated market maker. So that is very good for kind of the price action around it. But at the same time, it is actually very juicy, right? If you go to overview again, and if you look into the kind of the top 10 tokens in Uniswap, you're going to see that go to the top 10. That's like Chainlink, for example, has $12 million of liquidity and has a daily volume of $4 million, right? If you do the math, because they're keeping, like, those liquidity providers are getting essentially 0.3% of the of every single transaction that is happening through there, right? If you do the math, you're going to see that it's actually around like 24% per annum.
Wow.
Right? That's the yield that they're getting just by providing liquidity to this token, well, to this specific token in this different token pairs, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's very interesting.
That is really interesting. And also, so if we're doing it through StakeHound, we would be able to get these market maker fees as well as the
as the rewards. Exactly, right? So you put it on the pool, and while it's in the pool, it's still generating rewards, and those rewards accrue as if they were fees, right? So you're gonna be able to do the both of them. We can see the example of this if you want.
Okay, great. Just as a little side note, look, there's why the congestion.
Yeah. Something happened there. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Is that today? Yeah. Oh no, this is today. That was yesterday. Not true. Anyway, let's go back to here. So, okay. So, I mean, we've got an understanding of the liquidity provider fee. I mean, the price. What's price impact? What are we looking at when we're looking at this 0.68%?
Right. So because, as I said before, it's an automated market maker, all it can play with is how many tokens there are on each side, right? And then the thing is that if you're trying to buy or sell a lot of tokens in comparison to how many tokens there are on its side, right, the price will move faster, right? So for example, if there are 50 tokens and 50 tokens, and you want to buy, for example, 25 tokens, yes, you're going to need a lot more tokens, right? So I think the math is something like, if from the 50 I want to buy 25, I'm going to need to put in 150.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Something like that, right? That even like makes the price go much faster than it would in any other case, right? Mm-hmm. So what you want to do is you want to be trading always like, in a fraction of what is there. So for example, if there's 50 tokens and 50 tokens and you try to buy or sell one, then the price is like, the price impact will be very, very small, right? Yeah. That's very effective, very efficient. Much easier than to do it, for example, on an order book exchange. So what we need to do, and what we need to kind of invite people to do, and like I think that's something that's beneficial for everybody actually, is to provide liquidity. The more liquidity there is in the automated market maker, the less the price impact will be for people that want to trade in and out. Therefore, the more fees that will be accrued generated because of this trading, right?
Yeah, but also on that, does it work? If there's not many people providing liquidity, the liquidity rewards will be higher. So
the liquidity rewards depend basically on the fees that are generated on the automated market maker, right? The more volume there is, because it's on every single trade, the more volume, the more fees that will be accrued, right? The problem is that people don't like trading any token that doesn't have enough market depth, essentially, right? Because of this, like if I'm buying 25, but 25 is not a lot, but I'm moving the price 3x, essentially, that's not good. That's not healthy for my trade, right? So you always want to have as much liquidity as possible for it to be, good as a trading mechanism.
Okay. So there you are, NEM Community. We need lots of people providing liquidity to our StakeSem pairs. Okay, so we've got our order in the book here. What do we do next?
So essentially, when you press swap, what's happening here is that you're sending 4 ETH to the pool, and the pool automatically is going to give you 900 staked ETH back, staked as ZEM back.
Great. Okay, so we confirm swap. And we can see MetaMask opening here.
Mhm.
And we'll confirm that. Transaction submitted. And there we go. So we can see it's pending here. All right, Albert. So I've received my stake Zen and the transaction's gone through here. I can see that in my wallet.
Okay. So there's multiple things we can do, right? Like DeFi has a lot of different kind of products that you can use, right? There's one that I found that I feel like is one of the most important ones. It's obviously getting a lot of traction, which is this concept of automated market makers, right? So I would like to go through kind of the process of just like, what does it mean to actually provide liquidity to one of these pools, right? It's actually very simple. You see on the top left, there is this pool kind of section in this website.
Yep.
Yeah. You can click here, and then essentially what we're going to do is we're going to be finding this pool, the specific, for example, StakeXem ETH pool, right? And then we're going to send some more ETH and StakeXem so that other people can be trading against it, and therefore we can be getting those kind of rewards from the trading fees, right? It's very simple. Just go to add liquidity.
Yep.
And then you have to select the StakeXem.
Okay, so we got our stake.
See, we already bought some, so that's good, right? As I said before, like try not to spend all the ETH, or you're gonna have problems, to kind of be able to transact. But if you like try to like put liquidity for say 0.5 Ether, and it's automatically giving you how much StakeXem you need to provide liquidity. You see, like in this case, the pool is quite healthy. So you already got that this would mean that you would have 0.08% of the pool, right? So not a massive percentage of the pool. Essentially, that means that from every single trade that's happening, there's a 0.3% fee, and you would be getting 0.08% fee of all those trades, right?
Okay,
you need to approve the StakeXem. This essentially means that you're telling Ethereum that the Uniswap contract can take Zem from your address, right? I think it's pretty safe.
Okay.
So you can just confirm that. And when this is finished, you're going to be able to supply liquidity to it, right? You're going to be able to deposit it directly, right? Do you have any question on like why, like how this, like, on the market makers front?
So, I understand sort of order book depth, liquidity, market makers from being a trader and particularly my role at NEM Trading. I mean, what I like is that the smart contract here will automatically, input the correct amount of both ETH and StakeXem necessary for the book, so I don't have to go through and manually do that. I really like that. I think that's smart. I guess my question around that is say, does the book automatically balance to maintain that 50-50 spread on the bid and offer, or say that say the book, there's more bids than offers. When I go to add liquidity, will it make my share of the pool more offer heavy?
No, so like the way that a constant function market maker works, right, is that there is one function that defines the price, essentially, right? It's kind of what I was saying before about the, if you have 50 token A and 50 token B, the price would be 1, right? And essentially, it's just like the price is always this function of how many assets there is on each side of the pool, right? So if someone comes in and deposits more token A and takes out token B, right? Then what would be happening is that the price of the token A would be going down versus the token B, because someone has bought essentially token B with token A, right? There is always someone on the other side, right? There is no order book because essentially someone is just like, coming and picking it up from this pool of liquidity, and anyone can pick it up in any direction as much as they want. Of course, it will have an effect because this formula, this constant, this constant function, right? It always applies in the same way for everybody, right? So yeah, like what we're doing here is we're just like sending at the same time in a 50% ratio, this number of ETH and this number of StakeXem, essentially just saying that, yes, this is the price I agree with, and just providing more liquidity for this specific pair.
Great. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess
so essentially, like, yeah.
go on.
Yeah, like if you just click on supply, what's going to happen is essentially you're sending it in there, and from then on, anyone that's trading this pair is going to be giving you a slice of their fees.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, we'll send that off. We'll confirm, and there we go. Submit.
Amazing. I mean, like, there's not much more to see. Like, we're going to see, like, in a minute, if you go to the previous screen, you're going to be able to see when it's kind of confirmed and everything. Yeah, no, it's just like on the arrow next to the add liquidity.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's already telling you that you have this position, you see?
Okay.
Exactly. You can click there and manage, and then you're going to be able to see, you're seeing your pool tokens. That's how many pool tokens you have, right? How much ZEM is there, stake ZEM is in there, how much ETH is in there, and what the share of the pool that you own right now with those pool tokens, essentially, right?
Yes, again, once this is live, we'll be able to see all of our analytics here.
Exactly, yes. You're going to be able to see what were the last trades, what have been like the 24 hours volume, how many fees have been accrued, so on and so forth.
Great. Okay,
right? I mean, so far it's just like it doesn't connect to Robston, like this tool, the info.uniswap tool, right? Okay, so to kind of continue with this, like the next step is how do you actually get the rewards, right? So what I would suggest is, for example, I mean, you can already see what your wallet looks like. So for example, you can go into MetaMask and you can click on the view on Etherscan, for example, right? And we're going to see how many tokens. Go to MetaMask.
Sorry, no, the Zoom thing's in the way. It was, okay, cool.
Okay, I understood the Zoom thing right there. Okay, so yeah, just go to, go to, I think it's a different address than the one you're having here, I believe.
So what are we doing? MetaMask.
Click here, yes. And then on the three dots, you can see view on Etherscan. That will be connected to the Robston testnet again. And then if you click on the drop down, you're going to see that if you click on the, yes, exactly. Right now you have 768 stake ZEM, 788 stake ZEM, right?
Awesome.
So what we're going to do now, and I think it's actually easier because the refresh works better on Uniswap, but what we're going to do now is we're going to have a rebase, right? We're going to essentially see what it would mean if we had a 10% change, or kind of a 10% reward today, right? So I'm going to tell my colleague Edgar's to actually do this. What he's going to be doing is he's going to be telling the system that there has been a 10% reward that we need to distribute amongst all the holders, right? If you want to go back to Uniswap, I think it's refreshing better. So it just just select Uniswap and you can go back to the swap place. Yes, exactly. Select take ZEM. See 788, right? So what's going to happen is that suddenly we're going to see how this number is going to be changing, right? The way that this works is what's called a rebase, right? So what's happening essentially is that the tokens that you hold are not really like tokens per se. They are kind of a percentage of a supply, right? So what we do is every time that there's a reward, we add this reward to the supply of the token so that with one single transaction, we can be changing the balances of tens of thousands, if not millions of people with a single transaction this is how we distribute the rewards in a daily basis, right? That's how we can achieve this, right? So we're waiting now for Edgar's to do this change, and he has already done it. We're now waiting for the confirmation of the network, right? Yep. And very quick, like at any point in time, you're going to see how this 10% rebase happened, right? One thing to note here is that actually you will see if we will go back to later, if we go back to the pool, you would be seeing how the assets that you have in the pool are changing as well, right? So you will have that there's an increase on how many tokens you have put before on the pool, on the liquidity pool, right? And This means that people can come in and the price is a little bit lower because that changes the function that I was talking about, right? But because in this case it's 10%, it's pretty high. But essentially that becomes kind of fees that has been deposited to the pool as well, right? It's just like increases the pool. It doesn't mean that you're losing any money there. You're actually getting the rewards directly on the liquidity pool, right? As you can see here, now there's a balance of 867 stake Zen.
I've got more
right?
Zen. Woohoo!
Ooh, exactly, right? So, and that's the thing. Now you can just go ahead and you can sell them, you can buy them, you can provide more liquidity, you can withdraw the liquidity, all these different things, right?
Albert, you've taken a lot of time out of your day to run us through how exactly we do this. Is there anything else I need to know, or is this basically, you know, if I'm watching this video, I can run through these steps, and this is essentially how I'll use my stake Zen? Or are there any other steps we need to be aware of?
No, I mean, that's essentially it. Like I said, we're trying to make it as simple as possible, right? Now, if anyone wants to try it today, like this same test that you just did right now is actually available to anyone. Just join our Telegram group at StakeHound, and like we have on the website as well. You're going to see that there's a row for Zen. You can click in there, and it takes you to the test guide essentially, where you can go through the whole process, and like you can ask as well on the Telegram group, and then we're going to be sending you some stake Zen to get started with if you don't want to go kind of and just like buy it on the testnet Uniswap, right? That's one point. The other thing is that in the next few weeks, essentially, what we're going to start is what we're calling the hunt, which is essentially a process when anyone that wants to acquire the stake Zen early on, right? They can start before we launch the token itself. The goal of this is essentially we want to launch the stake Zen with enough supply so that it actually makes sense for us to then go to Aave and like convince them that they should be listing their token, right? All these different applications, we want them to be using it, and it will only happen if there's a sufficient supply of it, right? So essentially, the more people that tries the process on the testnet, for example, they understand, the more education we do on what is a constant function market maker, why providing liquidity is important. All those different things are geared. That's something we're doing very closely with NEM Group, and I think that we're doing a very good job at that. Another thing is like, as we continue that education, as we start onboarding people so that they can participate early on, there's going to be some reward that we're going to be giving to people that participate in this. And eventually the ultimate goal is just to have, a much bigger door between, the NEM ecosystem and the DeFi space, right? So that mobility is much easier, much less friction, and people on Ethereum can just buy stake Zen without having to worry about like opening accounts on Binance, on downloading new wallets, and all that stuff. Just make it easier, right? Essentially, and that's it. Like, yeah.
So when just will it actually be running live? When can I actually go in and stake my Zen?
So our goal right now is essentially to start with to launch the stake Zen by the end of November, essentially, right? So we want to do it pretty quickly. We're going to start like the hunt. This event that I was talking to you about, where we kind of like getting assets like people that like early birds essentially, right? This is going to be starting in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, excellent. And so, have you got a date for that yet, or?
It's not set in stone. Like there's quite a few moving pieces, but it should be before December if everything goes okay.
Cool. And we can stay up to date with that by joining the Telegram, the StakeHound.
Yeah. So yeah, we have these type form as well. So yeah, please the Telegram absolutely helps. Like like following us on Twitter absolutely helps as well. We've got an announcement channel, and essentially there's this type form as well, where if you fill it and you can express kind of your interest on participating in the system. What's going to happen as well is that when we launch the hunt for stake Zen, we're going to be letting you know, hey, you can start to participate now, you can join us. And then like that's how like the onboarding process takes you through the whole process of going from I have some Zen to I have some stake Zen, and now I'm providing liquidity, and the whole thing will be incentivized in different ways and like gamified as well. So like just join our community, follow our our announcements, and we try to do like different sessions, like as many sessions and interviews like this. That's our goal, is just to try to educate people and just like help them understand what DeFi is, because it's such a new thing and so big that it's really hard to for many people to put their heads around it without spending full time just learning about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Albert, look, thank you very much for running us over how to stake Zem and how to operate with Uniswap. It's very exciting. So very keen to get involved in the hunt there, and also keen to begin staking my tokens on your platform. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you, Nick.
I guess I'll be chatting to you in that Telegram chat if I have any issues.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you very much. And yeah, I appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to the next conversation.
Cool.
Have a
Likewise.
good one.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.